Welcome to the video, guys. As you might remember, in recent weeks, we've had plenty of Rejoiners running around screaming about how Brexit should be stopped so the government can deal with the Chinese bat flu. This, of course, is nonsense and something the government claim they won't allow to happen. Time will tell, I suppose. But naturally, the biggest Rejoiners north of the border of England, namely the SNP and Nicola Sturgeon, are still trying their hardest to get Brexit stopped. It's got nothing to do with bat flu either. We all know they just want to stop it because they don't want real independence. They want to leave the United Kingdom to become subservient to the EU. With the BBC reporting on their remoaning and the Express calling them out for their ulterior motives in delaying Brexit due to bat flu. The BBC article headlines: SNP urges UK government to hit pause on Brexit. The SNP is urging the UK government to hit pause on Brexit negotiations and seek to extend the transition period. It has urged the UK government to focus on the bat flu pandemic. The party's Brexit spokeswoman, Miss Philippa Whitford, said it would be irresponsible to continue hurtling towards the transition deadline. No, personally, I think it would be irresponsible to stop it. This situation is going to cost us a lot of money. We do not need to be sending money over to the EU, helping them prop themselves up, which we already know they are struggling to do. The UK government said its priority was to slow the spread of the bat flu, but it remained fully committed to Brexit negotiations. And given the measures that they're putting in place, I would say the government is at least trying to slow the spread. But once again, like I said, no need for Brexit negotiations to stop. This can all be done by telephone, video conferencing or email. We are not in the 1800s anymore. Post-Brexit talks with the European Union will continue this week despite the UK and much of the continent being on a bat flu enforced lockdown. Cabinet Office Minister Michael Gove will co-chair discussions via video conference as the two sides look at implementing what is in the withdrawal agreement once the transition period ends, which is due to happen on the 31st of December. And if the Tories go back on that, they will literally be considered dirty sellouts, and a fair portion of the people who voted for them last time will soon change their mind in future elections, that is for sure. Dr. Whitford called on the UK government to immediately seek an extension to the transition period. Yeah, of course she did. She said the bat flu outbreak has gripped us all, regardless of politics or borders. And it is vital that governments here in the UK and abroad work collaboratively to combat the pandemic. And given the way the EU is handling this pandemic and its inability to figure out the ways to sort out economies after this situation, I would think we're actually better off outside of it, wouldn't you? There's already reports that Italy might be wanting to leave after this situation because the EU has essentially hung them out to dry. It is impossible for businesses and others to prepare for life outside the EU while coping with the impact of the bat flu crisis at the same time, and many might struggle to survive the second blow of a hard Brexit at the end of this year. Well, I can tell you something now. Given the situation that is occurring at the moment, if we ended up with a no-deal Brexit, there would not be no second blow or shock to the UK economy from that. Given what the economy's gone through this time, the effects of a no-deal Brexit will be considered minor by the financial markets and so on, so any shock will be extremely limited, or, like I think, there won't be any at all, even if we left on a no-deal Brexit at the end of the year, because of the damage this bat flu situation has caused to the economy. Continuing talks and hurtling towards the transition period deadline would be irresponsible and an act of economic and social self-harm. It's now vital that the UK government hits pause on all Brexit negotiations and immediately seeks an extension to the transition period to remove the uncertainty and instability. No, the way you remove uncertainty and instability is remove the Scottish National Party from power in Scotland and stop their constant remoaning. Downing Street has continued to insist that the government will not seek to delay the end of the year deadline for a trade deal to be reached. When asked about a possible extension to the transition period on Friday, the Prime Minister's official spokesman told reporters in terms of the timetable, "There's no change from our point of view." Dr. Whitford urged the UK government to mirror the example of the Scottish government, which has postponed planning for an independence referendum in 2020 due to the pandemic. No, you had postponed planning for an independence referendum because you lack the power to hold one. Westminster has to give you that power, and it's not going to happen. You had one in 2014. That was once in a generation. We'll see you in about another 20 to 24 years. Thank you very much. If the people of Scotland vote to leave in 20 odd years' time after a generation has passed, then so be it. Until such time, wind your necks in and be happy with the puppet powers that you've been given, you snivelling shitweasels. Stop trying to block what the people of this country voted for. She said the SNP Scottish Government made the difficult but responsible decision to pause work on preparing for an independence referendum this year. You wasn't preparing for one, you was just screaming about it. You know you don't have the power to do it. The UK government must now mirror that step so we can focus on protecting our citizens and delivering financial support to everyone in society. We remain fully committed to the negotiations. Last week, the UK and EU shared draft legal texts and discussions with the Commission are continuing. The transition period ends on December the 31st, 2020, as enshrined in UK law, which the Prime Minister has made clear he has no intention of changing. The calls from the SNP follow a similar message from the Liberal Democrats and every mainstream media outlet out there. Earlier this month, acting party leader no one cares what he has to say, with their piss poor 11 MPs and performance at the last election that saw Joe Swinson get kicked to the curb. They are beyond irrelevant. Now we also have the Express reporting Sturgeon and SNP are desperate to see Brexit fail in order to launch independence agenda. Which is not something you're obviously gonna hear from the BBC. In this article they're talking to Mr. Carlo, the Scottish Conservative leader. He said, we need to find solutions so that the whole of the United Kingdom together makes a success outside the European Union. All the SNP are interested in doing is seeing Brexit fail in order to try and use that to try and step up support for another independence referendum. Yeah, because they don't want us to get independence, but they want their own idea of independence, which, like I said, is subservience to the EU. Wee Jimmy Cranky here lacks the ability to run her own country. She needs to have her EU masters do it for her. Mr. Carlo said, I don't think she has got a plan B, obviously talking about Fish Lips Sturgeon. I think Nicola Sturgeon's plan B is to keep shouting about this and hope that enough people who support independence will believe her and continue to pursue what I think is empty rhetoric. She hasn't got a plan B. Of course she hasn't. They're a one-trick pony, the SNP of course. Constitutionally, matters are reserved to the UK Parliament, which I said earlier, there is no legal way to hold a referendum, as I also said. He continued, we promised people 6 years ago that it would be a once-in-a-generation referendum. We can debate how long a generation is, but we know what it's not, which I've already said, we'll see you in about 20 to 25 years. Like he said there, it's not 5 and it's not 10. So there is no prospect, in my view, of Nicola Sturgeon being able to hold a referendum this year or at any point. I highly doubt she will be the leader of the SNP whenever they get an independence referendum next time. Now before I go, I've started doing live streams and uploading gaming content on my second channel. If you would like to come and join me for a live stream to chat in real time, have an interest in gaming related content on YouTube, or just want to follow me over there because you are a legend, the link will be down in the video description below and as a pinned comment. I hope to see you all there. Now as always, before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.